Hello and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. This one is a little bit different today. So myself, Ahsan and George from Ingenuity Fantasy, which if you don't know about Ingenuity Fantasy, check out the link in the description to this video, ingenuityfantasy.com. All sorts of good stuff on there. There's match stats from Opta, there's articles about captaincy, differentials, and then there is a transfer wizard, which is a really useful tool. You kind of just put in what position you want, what funds you've got to spend it on, and there'll be a list of players ranked for you to consider. But yeah, myself, Ahsan and George will be going through an FPL icons draft. So iconic players from FPL history, and we're each going to draft a team. You'll see kind of the process of it as you watch the video. But yeah, let's get into it.
Hi guys, and welcome to a slightly different video this time. So, normally me and Brad have our FPL player ranking series, but today we thought we would treat you to an FPL icons draft. Now, we're doing this with Ahsan, who is also a member of Ingenuity Fantasy, and the criteria for this format is quite simple, really. Throughout the history of FPL, there have been many icons for many reasons, budget superstars or, just simply high scorers. Today, me, Brad, and Arson will try and build our own draft, our own team of these FPL icons. The criteria is very simple. It is just how iconic they are. So, we're not doing just the highest scorers of all time, but these are players that, the FPL community remember for being specific legends within the FPL game. So, as soon as a couple of our picks rattle off the board, I'm pretty sure that, you guys will get the criteria. And then at the end of it, feel free to comment or vote on the video, whoever's team you think is best. So yeah, with that being said, we will get started straight away with the first pick, which goes to Brad himself. We thought we'd give him all the help he needs. So yeah, Brad, do you want to kick us off with your first pick?
Yeah, okay. So just to say as well, we're going to do the draft as like a snake draft, just to make it as fair as possible. But yes, so it probably comes as no surprise that my first pick is going to be Mohamed Salah. I mean, it's not
objectively probably the correct pick.
Accidentally just need to put him in your list, George. Don't need that.
We don't mind that.
Yeah, I mean, there's not really much to say. He has the points record. He's just an absolute beast, season upon season. And I didn't want Ahsan to have him either, so yeah.
Yeah, I am hurt by that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a completely understandable decision there. One that's also hard to argue with. So I will follow that up with. So basically, this man, I believe it was 5 million that he entered at, and then ended up absolutely exploding that season. And I think everyone had him. And it's the man Cole Palmer himself.
I thought so.
So, I mean, following that move from City to Chelsea, he stayed at his City price point and just, I can't remember a player that cheap exploding that well. I mean, he was an FPL sensation. So, yeah, for me,
he was the highest scorer that year, was he not?
Yeah, I think so. He may have been, or at least in and around that conversation, because he did move quite late. But, I mean, at that price point, he was absolutely unbelievable. So, yeah, a true legend.
Bargain.
Yeah, that's mine.
Yep.
All right, so I have 3 picks. Yeah. Right, I am probably gonna be heavily biased towards Liverpool in this list. Just to warn you all now, there's not going to be any Trent. I'll just I'll tell everyone that now. But I reckon we're gonna go with Luis Suarez.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
Yeah,
maybe the best Prem season of all time, because he did it in like 33 games because he got the 5-game suspension for biting who did he bite?
Ivanovic, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, so he had the 5-game suspension to start the season, ended with 295 points, 31 goals and 12 assists in 33.
I think it was 25 assists in FPL terms, which is ridiculous.
Did he win 13 pens or something?
It was 31 goals and 25 assists in FPL.
That's crazy.
Unbelievable.
So yeah, strong start with the man Luis Suarez. And then my second pick, in the spirit of George's pick, I reckon I'm gonna go Riyad Mahrez.
Yeah.
Oof. Yeah.
Probably he was 5.5 mil the season they won the league.
Oh yeah, unbelievable.
What a value, yeah. Up there with Cole Palmer as a value.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
Right. So I'm now going to go for a I'm thinking defenders might be slightly hard to fill here. So I am going to grab him off the board. Absolute FPL legend, not least because he was on penalties, and that is Leighton Baines. I can't think of many defenders who with that sort of FPL pedigree.
that's quality.
Yeah,
a true icon of FPL.
Yeah, that is fair. I do agree with you. The defenders, I've got a list here, and my list for defenders isn't that long. So
no.
That's why I'm thinking grab him now before the good.
I might struggle, but there is a guy that I do really want, and I think I'm going to take that guy now, and that is Lundstram.
Oh, what a legend! The Lundstram era.
Just a serious budget pick that year.
Yeah,
like ridiculous for the amount he was to begin with. Yeah, I don't think you can go wrong. Now, I may go down a similar route here and take the kind of like nostalgic pick. I think I'm going to go Michu.
Oh, I was wondering if someone was going to pick him.
Yeah. I mean, he was coming up in mine. I'm not going to lie.
I think he was 6 mil.
Yeah, something like that. Okay, right. So I've taken Lundstram and I've taken Michu.
Yeah, that's FPL royalty right there. On that subject, here's sort of in that similar vein to Brad. I'm going to go for another FPL legend. Originally a defender, but ended up playing Cam for Leeds, and that is the man Stuart Dallas.
Yeah, man.
I think we all remember the Stuart Dallas era. Managing to sneak into defences, bagged like 8 goals or something, and Leeds actually kept a decent amount of clean sheets that year. So,
did he take
Stuart Dallas? I don't know. He may. I don't know. He may have.
Maybe I've misremembered that.
If anyone does know that, let us know. But
I think it's usually Bamford.
I mean, yeah.
Isn't it? But
yeah. Bamford season.
Yes.
Potential later pick. Patrick
Potential
Bamford.
later pick that Bamford as well. Yeah, there's a couple icons from that Leeds team. But yeah, Stuart Dallas for me. I'm just thinking it'll be hard to fill out defenders, so why not actually use a midfielder instead?
Mm-hmm. Very fair. Right, is that me up?
Yep.
Okay, I promise not every player is going to be a Liverpool player, but as we are hitting defence, and you are right, the options are kind of slim. I am going to go for, this is the all-time leading point-scoring season for a defender. I'm going to go, he is. I'm going to go Robertson.
Yeah, fair.
It was his 18-19 season. He had 213 points, 11 assists, 19 clean sheets.
Yeah.
So, it's just kind of
serious.
Yeah.
It's weird, it's weird thinking that Robertson has that record over like a Trent, for example. But, I mean, it just shows Liverpool's defenders in an FPL sense have just been unbelievable in that sense.
Yeah, those two specifically, and then, right, I just kind of want to make my team really fun. I've kind of got to. I'm going to go with Henry, probably my Premier League goat. And, we have the 2020 season. That's probably what, top five FPL seasons?
Yeah. Serious season. Serious player.
Okay. Did you see that? Did you see all those guys running up to him the other day and celebrating with him?
I did see that. Yeah,
that was
the
quality.
Panama team.
Yeah. What a moment.
Right. So is it back on me now? Yeah. So, given I'm going to go for another defender. I'm going to try and complete my defense here. And it would be rude for me not to have a Newcastle player.
Okay.
So I'm going for that Kieran Trippier season. We all know Kieran Trippier was an FPL demon. That's it. I think everyone had him. It was almost wrong not to have him. So I'm locking in Kieran Trippier.
Okay.
FPL icon.
Right. That's fair. I've got a couple of options here. I've got a really biased option that I want. I don't want anyone else to have this guy. So there's potential that I go there, but then, do you know what? I'm going to take him. I'm not even sure he was that kind of like iconic FPL wise. Well, he was Dimitri Payet.
Oh yeah.
Dimitri
I had
Payet
Payet.
is where I'm going here, just because there was this period where it was almost like when we got a free kick, it was like a penalty. It was outrageous.
Yeah.
So
like Arsenal with corners, celebrate him like a penalty.
Literally.
Yeah.
So I'm going there. I think I need to start taking a defender. It's my next problem.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stick with my kind of old school thing with Lundstram and Mitchell. I'm gonna go with Branislav Ivanovic.
Oh yeah.
Because he
that
was
season
just, I don't know, you'd find him like up front at times. I'm not quite sure.
He scored like 8 that season or something, didn't he? Sure. He was so far forward.
I'm not sure positionally what he was doing, but at points he was like the highest Chelsea player and like quite a lot of points. So yeah, Payet and Ivanovic.
No, absolutely. Yeah, very solid. Right, it's probably about time. I haven't got a striker yet or a forward, so it's probably about time I address that.
Yeah.
From one of the most iconic season of all time, and arguably the most iconic player on that team, it's got to be Jamie Vardy. I think he came in at 6 million in that season.
Crazy.
And ended up scoring like an insane amount of points. So yeah, Jamie Vardy got to be there.
Yeah,
he has a couple of very high scoring FPL seasons.
Yeah. I mean, he quickly went. It came in at 6 million, so it was an unbelievable bargain. Everyone had him, but then next year, he had that huge jump up. Rightly so, to be fair. But yeah, got to go Vards.
Legend.
Okay.
You've got 2 now, Ahsan.
Right. Okay.
I need you guys to start picking players I haven't got on my list because I don't have enough players to fill out my team. If we keep going with players that I've got on my list.
Yeah, true. It might be bare bones at the end, but we'll see how it goes. I'm wondering about goalkeeper now, and do I just take maybe the best?
Yeah, I've been wondering when that happens.
That's just not fun, though, is it?
Yeah, you can't take the best. This is an icon draft.
Oh yeah, no. You know what? I'm not taking goalkeeper. I'm gonna take Gareth Bale.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Really nice. Yeah. Are we talking? Are we talking Gareth Bale as a midfielder?
Yeah, I think he was listed as a midfielder. Yeah,
that's true.
As a midfielder.
That's true, actually, because then he exploded when he was listed as a fullback.
Yeah. But
when I checked, he was on the midfield list.
Okay, we'll put him in midfield.
I mean, if I could have had him as a defender,
that'd be unbelievable. Yeah, you'd have won.
But no, we'll put him in midfield. And just Spurs Bale was.
Yeah, he had a crazy that season. His production was just insane.
Yeah, and then there's obviously the Inter Milan game, which everyone remembers. Crazy. And then I will go with. Let me think. I really did want to grab Leighton Baines. You got there first. Right. We'll go with sneaky iconic season. We'll go Bruno's first full season. Well, I'm thinking of that Bruno.
Yeah.
Bruno Fernandes.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, Bruno Fernandes is he's talismanic, in the FPL sense, definitely.
Okay, I like that. I didn't have either of them on my list actually, so that's nice.
I just remember that first full season, what he had like 16 goals, but half of them were pens.
Yeah.
That was the penalty season.
Yeah. Right, George, you're up.
Yeah, I mean, there's quite a lot of debate here for me. I'm torn between a couple of players actually, but I think, I'm probably. Yeah, I think I'm going to continue my very strict, iconic stance. And we did mention him earlier. That Bamford season.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
I'm surprised by that, but okay.
But, I'm not building... I mean, in the FPL... I think part of it is I've got a certain connection to him because I had him in my team that year.
I'd say the fact that we remember the season means like he is an FPL icon of some degree.
True.
Yeah.
True.
So, like, that was Bielsa. He did miss a ton of chances as well. I remember that was a really big feature, but he was just.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Was he iconic for like the wrong reasons at times?
Yeah. That's also...
We're not doing iconic for the right reasons. We're doing iconic.
Yeah, fair. That's fair.
Bring Bielsa back to the Prem though. That was
That Bamford stretch. I did have him, so it's slightly special to me in the FPL sense.
Yeah, fair. Right. Okay. So my next two guys. My midfield is looking all right, and I've got quite a long list of midfielders to pick from. So I'm gonna take a forward. I'm gonna take Sergio Aguero.
No, that was what I was.
Oh,
that was exactly where I was going.
I thought that Ahsan, you were going to take Aguero to get Suarez on Rio Aguero, which would have been a joke.
Would have been very fun.
No, I'm so gutted.
Yeah,
Aguero is where I wanted to go.
Yeah, I had to get him in, and now to complete that, to grab another defender, I'm going to go with Cancelo in defence.
Ooh,
that's a really good shout. He was up there with Trent for a couple of years.
Yeah,
that season.
That is a brilliant shout.
Was
that
serious.
100%.
And then Pep just got sick of him, and he was just gone.
Yeah,
it's all.
Yeah. That almost makes it more iconic that he just dropped off.
Yeah, yeah, it does. Yeah, I absolutely love that take. That might be the steal of the draft. Right, I guess I need to go. I mean, I've done quite a lot of these very interesting iconic seasons from the slightly cheaper players. So I think I do need to dip back into some royalty in the FPL sense, and I am going to go for Harry Kane.
Yeah, has to be
boring, but okay.
Has to be picked.
It's boring, but in the FPL sense, everyone had Kane in their teams. Let's not. He was as much of a mainstay as possible. Fair. I needed just some royalty.
Okay.
Right, Ahsan, you're up. You got a couple.
Okay, I am the opposite of George. I need to add a little bit more spice to my team. Yeah, a little bit more culture to my team. Yeah. There is a striker I hope gets picked, but I'm not going to pick him because he is just too good. I'm going to go with Danny Ings.
Nice.
Yeah. Yes.
That Southampton season.
Yeah.
Legendary.
I didn't have him on my list, but I rate that pick a lot.
Yeah.
I can't even remember what year that was. It was like 4 or 5 years ago, but yeah.
I like that pick.
And then now that I've fulfilled my cultured quota, I'm now gonna get back to some real ballers. We're gonna go with I'm going to go with John Terry in defence.
Okay.
I needed to pick a Chelsea 04-05, a defender that played in that Chelsea team.
Clean sheets, yeah.
It's the most iconic defensive Premier League season ever, so it kind of fits. Okay. And he was the leader of that defence, so
yeah,
go with John Terry.
I like that. Right, George.
Really understandable. I've still got loads of midfield picks left. I think, because there is enough midfielders, I think I am going down the route of trying to fill out as many of the other ones as well.
But what else do you have? You've got 3 mids and a goalkeeper, right?
Yeah, so I got I'm thinking I might go goalkeeper here.
Oh, you get the first goalkeeper. Smart.
And I'm going to continue down this cultured path.
No, you're going to take.
And I'm going to go for Michel Vorm.
Yeah, nice. You didn't take one pick. Yes,
Michel Vorm. Yeah, that Michel came in at 4 million, and if there's one thing the FPL community loves, it's a 4 million goalkeeper. And that Michel Vorm season, I mean, he eventually finished at 5.2 million. So he was as popular as it gets. But if you got in there early, he was an absolute godsend. So yeah, Michel Vorm for me.
That's nice. I had him on my list, to be fair. I've got 3.
That might be the most cultured pick.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah. I've got 3 goalkeepers on my list, so I'm not gonna. I'd be happy with either of the other 2. So I'm going to leave goalkeeper as that. My goalkeeper will be the last pick of the draft, maybe. Maybe not. But anyway, I am going to do... I think I'm going to go the same as before and go for a defender and a forward. Leave that mid slot open. So forwards-wise, I'm going to go for Wayne Rooney as my third forward.
Yeah.
Couldn't have finished this draft without someone picking him.
He was always
it would be wrong. It would be wrong. It would be wrong to leave him off.
And
100%.
a front three of Aguero, Rooney, and Michu should do damage. So we're happy with that. Happy with that. Now, defenders. There's a couple. I've only got one defender pick left, but there's a couple that I've got on my list. I'm gonna take Trent. I think.
Yeah.
I'm glad someone did, and I didn't have to.
I'm gonna take Trent. Yeah. I think even like there was a season where he was just stupid cheap as well, and he was doing bits. So I think
it would have been his first season.
Yeah, maybe. He's iconic for a few reasons. I mean, like, there's no ridiculously expensive for a defender, which just shows how good he has been. So yeah. I've filled out my defense with Trent.
Yeah, completely fair. This is where it gets.
You've got 3 mids to get.
Yeah, I've got 3 mids to get,
Left
so I
mids.
pretty much can only go mids.
Unless you want to play a 4-3-3 or something, you can take a defender.
Yeah, it's true.
It feels like one obvious midfielder pick that hasn't been taken.
I think there's more. Than one.
There's
don't
more.
Yeah,
there's more, but I feel like there's one super obvious.
Oh, don't do that to me now.
Yeah, no, that's mean. I shouldn't have done that.
I guess you know what though. I think
I've got 7 midfielders on my list.
I don't think there's a midfielder that I'm thinking of, but like he wasn't. I mean, obviously he did score FPL points, but he was mainly assists. So it wasn't like it wasn't like a goal scoring midfield. So like, I'll come out and say him because I will say if anyone does take him, I will slightly dock you for that. But that's Kevin De Bruyne. Like
he wasn't on my list.
I wasn't on my list.
Exactly. Okay, good. All right. Okay,
he wasn't on my list.
Okay,
no.
Okay, good. We're having a culture discussion then.
I won't be picking him.
I mean, I think he probably does have a season that ranks like top 10 midfielder seasons.
He definitely does, but just because he was mainly assists as opposed to goals.
Yeah.
Great, but for me, there's too many other better picks.
Yeah, there's too many other either seasons
right,
or players.
So I'm gonna So you know what? There was I'm gonna go. Yeah, I mean, just because midfielders and point scoring don't get more iconic than this man, I'm gonna go for Frank Lampard. I remember even when I was younger.
You know what? Very fair.
You know what? Like this man scored an unbelievable amount of goals from midfield. Which in the FPL sense, in the FPL sense, in terms of he had a striker's production, but from the midfield position, which in an FPL sense is iconic in itself.
And he took pens. So
yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. So lamps for me has got to be in there.
Yeah, fair. I feel like we need once this is done, because there's not going to be enough picks to fill out everyone I've got on my list. I feel like we need like an honourable mentions once this is done.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, definitely.
But anyway, Ahsan, you got 2 picks.
Right. So now I'm wondering if I leave this person off and make him an honourable mention. But no, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna take Ronaldo.
Yeah, fair.
That's who I was talking about, the obvious midfielder.
Yeah.
To just fill out a pretty ridiculous midfield.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ballon d'Or Ronaldo. Like, what did he score? 31 goals. 200. It was 283 FPL points apparently, which that'll do.
Absolutely,
that'll do.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've got defender and goalkeeper left.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Emi Martinez in goal.
Yeah, that's completely fair. He was one of the 3 on my list.
Yeah, well, I think the first season he started for Villa, what was he, 4.5 maybe?
Yeah, that season was a joke. I remember reading he made like 140 saves, which is like almost 40
crazy
more than like most other goalkeepers make every year. It was a joke.
Yeah.
So they will get a bit of value and culture in there with our goalkeeper pick.
I've definitely lost on goalkeepers, but I feel like that's one position that I don't mind losing out on.
Yeah.
Right. George,
so my go. So but both my positions left in midfielder. I'm going to do one who was iconic because I owned him this season, and he was the highest scoring midfielder at this position, but again played further forward, and that is Alexis Sanchez. Doing it all for Arsenal.
That's really nice.
He was going to be my pick if he was still there.
absolute points machine that season. He was doing it all. So yeah,
he was so good.
Yeah, completely fair. I was going to pick him myself. My midfield is between two, so I'll do my goalkeeper first. So I'm going to go with Brad Friedel.
Yeah, I was wondering if he was going to
Not sure if I've spelled that right, but I'm going with Brad Friedel. I do think he's the weakest out of the three goalkeepers that we've gone with. The three that have been picked.
I mean, he's a prem icon.
Yeah, he
prem
is.
legend.
He's also the highest scoring goalkeeper season.
Yeah, FPL wise, it was. I think the reason I think he's weak is because FPL wise, it was before I started playing, so I never owned him or anything. But yeah, Brad Friedel. Right then, to complete my team, my midfielder is between two, and I can't discuss it because you've still got a mid slot open, George, but he'll be an honourable mention if I don't pick him. Okay, I'm gonna go with Yaya Toure.
Yes, he was on my list. He was on my list. Okay. I'm glad he got picked.
Again, there's a common theme with the icon, how iconic they were in the FPL sense. It's just these midfielders who just had these seasons where they just scored so many goals and just did it all. That Yaya. There was one particular Yaya season where he absolutely exploded.
So my team is now complete. Yeah. So George, one mid left. Who are you going with?
Yeah, one mid. I'm going back down the cultured route, and it's purely because of his price. Also, I just want to quickly shout out all about FPL because it really helped with. I mean, they helped with some of my research for this, definitely. Sort of jogged my memory a bit for some of these seasons. So I will round it out with Charlie Adam.
Okay.
Absolutely unbelievable season.
I see.
Absolutely unbelievable season.
Wasn't on my list.
He had 12 goals and 8 assists from midfield. Everyone forget. I mean, it got him a Liverpool move.
One of the worst Liverpool players of all time.
They've been worse.
They've been worse, but that wasn't good.
This man from a dead ball position was absolute money.
Lethal.
So yeah, Charlie Adam, true icon, rounds it out, and obviously incredibly cheap.
That's a very culture pick. I did not even think of him.
I think there's mids above him to pick, but we'll go over that.
Yeah, true. There'll be
You've got
my last
defender left, which is interesting because I've only got one defender left on my list, and he's not a sexy pick by any means. But
I'm just gonna take Captain Fantastic, Virgil van Dijk.
It was on my list. Yeah. Fair.
FPL wise?
Yeah, that season.
He's probably not super iconic, but he's always been a very high point scorer. I think he's got the third highest scoring season ever, so it'll count, and he's my captain.
I know, but he's just it's Virgil. He's just a Liverpool centre back. Like he didn't light up FPL. He didn't light up fantasy.
He was standing on Ballon d'Or podiums with Messi and Ronaldo, bro.
I don't think I've ever owned Van Dijk personally.
Well, I think that it's.
Trent was always, or Robertson was always the sexier pick, and the better pick. But
I think it's fair based on the fact that there's rarely been centre backs that have got as many points as him. So I think that's a good reason.
I was considering Jolien Lescott, but
nice. Nice.
But I went with Captain Fantastic.
Okay, so our teams are complete. Is there any have you guys got any honourable mentions that you wanna?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's definitely a couple.
My biggest one, who I was very surprised didn't get picked, was Van Persie.
Yeah, same. He was my.
I really hope he get picked. He was so good, man. He was unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, especially the season he moved to United as well. He just went absolute. That iconic in itself, moving from Arsenal to United and winning the league. Do you know what I mean?
So, Arsenal fans hated him.
Seeing him in your FPL team in the little United kit logo instead was quite funny.
Is there any other? We'll do it by position. Is there any other forwards that?
I would personally like to shout out because I owned him for this stint as well, Miguel Almiron. During that unbelievable stretch. No, he's a midfielder, but he had that stretch where he was scoring every game and he only cost 5 million.
Yeah.
I was on that.
Support Newcastle.
I was on that boat. He was
forwards wise. I was thinking Timo Pukki slightly that season. Season.
Yes. Timo Pukki's such a shout, actually. Yeah.
Didn't have him on my list, but I like it.
He was banging him in.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was a fun player.
That's nice.
Brad, you must have a couple in the locker.
No, forwards wise, not so much. Mids, I've got a few. So the first one that I very nearly went with, when I was talking about whether I was going to go with Yaya Toure or another that midfielder was Dele Alli. That I was really thinking about.
Yeah.
That's a very good shout.
So close to picking him because that season again was ridiculous. And then
like 20 goals or something.
Yeah. The other two obvious mids for me are Son and Hazard that we haven't picked.
Yeah. I think the thing about Hazard is, he was unbelievable, but when you think for FPL, for you to be good in the FPL sense, you need production. Do you know what I mean? A penalty will get you as much points as dribbling and scoring from the halfway line. So I think that's why Hazard, he's a solid FPL asset.
That's
but
probably why he's an honourable mention rather than
exactly. But he just didn't have the production. It's almost like a sort of anti-football list in that sense. We're looking for production guys, not these guys who are just easy on the eye.
Season, but not like big enough to. Not big enough to.
I think he was also priced really high as a result, and so his production just never really matched up to his price. I think that was always an issue I had with him. Another honourable mention I'd like to shout out, and part of it's based on this year's Brian and Buemo. I mean, pretty much came out of nowhere in the FPL sense, and he was absolutely he came flying out of the blocks, as did Brentford. There's a couple Brentford ones actually, Ivan Toney as well.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a good one.
These guys all started really cheap as well, and it's always nice finding this season. There's so many of those. You've got your Justin Kluiverts and stuff like that.
Really nearly based on this season, I nearly picked Beto. Nearly picked Beto.
Surely Chris Wood, if you were going to go for a striker.
Yeah, he's going to be a pick in 5 years in this game.
Yeah. This Chris Wood season will be remembered 100%.
Yeah. I will remember it.
Yeah. I can't think of too many other defenders or goalkeepers.
Yeah, defenders. I think it's a bit thinner on the defensive end. Yeah,
maybe back in the day there's more defenders, but before I started playing, probably.
Yeah, long.
But it would have been disingenuous for me to pick too many of them. Yeah, pretty much my entire team is during the time I actually played FPL. So there's not too many I can think of.
To run through the teams. Let's go through it. So my team: Brad Friedel, Branislav Ivanovic, João Cancelo, Trent, Salah, Lundstram, Dimitri Payet, Yaya Toure, Michu, Aguero, Rooney. Some team.
Yeah, I think you've got a perfect mix there of FPL culture icons like Lundstram, and then just absolute legends like Aguero, who was fit both bills. Yeah, it's a great team. Yeah. It's an unbelievable team. Yeah, I think it's a good mix.
Yeah, it's a good mix, definitely.
But yeah, and to go through my team, I've got Michel Vorm in goal, and then at the back I've got Leighton Baines, Stuart Dallas, and Kieran Trippier.
That's such a culture defense.
Yeah, some heritage right there. And then in midfield I've got Cole Palmer. That was he
started very cultured,
yeah. And then Frank Lampard, Alexis Sanchez, and Charlie Adam.
Yeah.
And then up top, I have got Vardy, Bamford, and Kane.
I think Alexis Sanchez is the pick I'm most jealous of out of all of the players I don't have on my team, and maybe Suarez. Because I really did want Suarez as well.
Yeah.
Glad I got him.
Ahsan, fire away.
And then mine was Martinez in goal. I had Robertson, John Terry, and Virgil in defence. My midfielders were Ronaldo, Bruno, Bale, and Mahrez. And then up front, I had Suarez and Henry and the man, the myth, the legend, Danny Ings.
That's such a pick.
Danny Ings. If you look at the other 10 players on Arsenal's team, he's literally got a team of all
stars,
like some of the best players of all time, and then Danny Ings is looking around. Danny Ings is looking around that dress. He's looking around that dressing room, and he's feeling so confused about what he's seeing around.
Him and Emmy Martinez. Yeah, no, so.
But yeah, so that rounds out the end of the FPL Icons draft. Let us know whose list whose draft you think is best. Definitely let us know if there are any sort of icons or players or crazy seasons that we might have missed. And yeah, we will hopefully be doing more of this sort of format soon. So yeah, let us know what you think of the lists, and yeah, thanks for watching.
And that's all for this one. If you liked the video, do hit like, do subscribe, and we will see you in the next one.